Hello and welcome to Nick V Uncensored. Today we've got Lewis Herms and we're going to be talking about the 2020 election redemption. There's a lot of activity going down and Lewis Herms believes there's going to be a domino effect and it's going to be exposed. Lewis, you're also running for state governor of California, and you're saying that the mainstream media is refusing to put you on the polls, but you're doing your best with debates and, filling the gaps of corruption and really feeling and being vacuumed into the gravity of the whole structure for you to win this. What's going on there?
Yeah, it's crazy, really. And thank you for asking. So there's an independent poll of 5,000 people that didn't put our names on there, just it put our policies on there. And to give you an idea, is I was ranked number one, right? There's another guy that was ranked right next to me, and he does a great job too. And then Steve Hilton, which is supposed to be our main competition, he got half the votes that I got, which means that I would just be destroying him, right? And then Bianco was way down there because what they did is they polled on policy only. And they took our names off of there and they said, if this was a policy, who would you vote for? And this was Democrats, independents, and Republicans, ironically. So it shows you that our policies are just crushing it. Now, if you go to the polls that the mainstream's putting out, they intentionally don't even include my name in those polls. In fact, it's so bad that there was a Facebook poll that was done, and it had the two of the Republicans, three, I think, of the Democrats, right? And they were going back and forth, and then somebody somehow added me into the poll. Mm-hmm. We skyrocketed immediately into second place on that poll, on the Facebook poll. And then the admin deleted our name off of there. And then somebody else put it on there and it skyrocketed, and they deleted it again and deleted it again. So, I mean, even people on Facebook are doing this. We know there's somebody within the Meta group, we're told, that is suppressing myself and another lieutenant governor candidate. So that's getting deep. It's getting dark. We were going into an interview, and he got a call, and he was offered $25,000 if he would not do the interview of me. So,
wow. Well, the corruption.
It is. So they're very, very afraid of my message. They're very afraid of me getting out there. So it's fascinating. It is fascinating.
So, I mean, they tried to do this with Trump to remove him. I think there was a rumor trying to remove
from some of the state ballots.
Yeah, and also trying to stop people from, they were using, I think it was pencils or something like that, and remarking them with markers to change it to Joe Biden or Kamala, I think it was. Let's talk about what things do you think that you talk about and address in your debates that the mainstream media are choosing to refuse to put you on the polls, on the ballots?
Easy. Child sex trafficking, the medical mafia, the parasites that control things, and the evidence of election fraud, which we're going to go through today.
Right, and of course, and they hate this. Of course, I mean, the viewers know. I mean, I don't have to say too much, do I, Lewis? Yes, you want to share something, don't you? So I just got that pop up right now from you. Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about the election stuff. That's being redemption right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I'm going to go chronologically. I just want to show something. So on January 6th, I was on Capitol Hill, right? In fact, I'm credited with the Viking in actually saving lives on that day, which I'm very, very proud of. And I'll explain that, but then I'm going to play about 8 seconds of this clip to show you how ahead of the curve we always are on this. So you can see that on the screen. Now, when I say saving lives, what happened? I'll just give you some context on this. So what happened is there was a bunch of a couple of Antifa people that were over here, and they were really trying to enrage the crowd to push through the door. Well, if you noticed, see that crack in the door right there into the Capitol? This is on the front steps of the Capitol. It was open. It was wedged open because at the top of the door they took the molding and they bent it forward. You can just anybody can get it in the Capitol right there. Now, so I was watching what's going on and I looked through this window. You see this window,
Hmm.
right? And if you get up on the steps, you can see through this window. There were 6 cops with guns right behind that door, literally waiting for people to come in. This would have been an absolute slaughter. So Jake Chansley and a gentleman in the suit were begging people. They were standing in the way, begging people, please don't go in. This is dangerous. And they weren't getting much traction. They're getting very frustrated. And then for the first time that day, I happened to finally get signal. This is a God thing. And President Trump was on Twitter at the time asking everybody to go home. We're going to fight another day, is what he said. And I thought it was amazing. So what I did is I asked Jake, I didn't even know him. I said, give me your microphone. He didn't even question it. He just handed it to me. I stepped up there and I played President Trump's plea to go home 2 times. And finally, people started to leave. But I mentioned something I think is fascinating at the end, and I want to play this for about 6-7 seconds, and I want you to hear something, and I'll repeat it. This is very interesting. So here we go.
They already have affidavits from Italy and America. They already have a guy from the CIA in custody for stealing this election.
Okay, so what I said there, and I'll stop screen share.
Hmm.
As I said, they already have affidavits and information from Italy, and I was referring to the Leonardo satellite of trying to steal elections, right? Now, I'm going to continue, and at the end, I'm going to show you how mega important that is. And this is fascinating. So now to look for what I said also is in several interviews 5 years ago and more, I said we need to look into the future for a raid that's going to become public into the Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Arizona elections. Okay. And I said, when we see that, that's when we know things are moving forward.
Okay.
Of course, as you know, Nick, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, all this, every time we mention anything, we are just crazy, wacko, tinfoil hat wearing. But let's look at this. And I'm on record saying this. So guess what? January of this year, the FBI executed a search warrant on the Fulton County, Georgia election office. They seized the ballots and the records from the 2020 election. So check. That's good. Now, just this week, and by the way, I think I was on your show about a month ago predicting this, but just this week, the FBI obtained a significant amount of election-related records from where? Arizona. And that was via, now why this is important, this is via a federal grand jury subpoena. So this is huge, right? And the target was the Arizona State Senate, specifically the records connected to the Republican audit that we know called Cyber Ninjas back in 2021, right? And those were regarding the 2020 presidential election result in Maricopa County. Why is that? Because he only lost that by a few thousand, right? Mm-hmm. And they can prove that he won it. Now, remember, this was all a setup. And we mentioned this back then in 2020. I said, the second that Fox News was the first to say that President Trump lost Arizona, I knew the fix was in. There was even people on the that were shocked on the set. And why is that? Because I remember, like it was yesterday, there was a 97-mile Trump train in Arizona. 97 miles of vehicles supporting Trump in a parade.
Wow,
Think about that.
A lot.
97 miles. Yet he suddenly loses that election. And Fox News, which I've been telling you was controlled opposition, was the first to call that. All of this stuff is becoming true. So is there anything else going on? Because everybody says no arrests, nothing's going on. Just in the last few weeks, and I've documented this, I'm going to read this, right? Somebody called Mahadi Sacco, right, is a Mauritanian national illegally in the U.S., was arrested this month for allegedly voting in several federal elections since 2008, all the way up into 2024. Charged with voter fraud in Philadelphia. Remember, I said Pennsylvania is where we need to look for, right? And he was actually picked up by ICE and FBI. A Colombian national was just convicted last month in Massachusetts for voter fraud.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is huge, right? North Carolina, a man just pleaded guilty to falsely claiming he was a U.S. citizenship on a voter registration, and he illegally voted in 2 elections previous. Now, there's hundreds of investigations that I know of, frankly. This is getting big. It was interesting during that cyber ninja audit that I just mentioned. The person that was in charge of the board of supervisors. His name is Clint Hickman in Maricopa County, right? Ironically, his chicken farm, 165,000 hens, burned down while the audit was going on, and there was speculations that they saw truckloads of ballots going there, and speculation that the firefighters saw some remnants of ballots, but they were told to stand down. I don't know if that's true, but I can tell you that that is now resurfacing as an investigation. So all of these things are coming together. Now, in 2022, many people may have remembered during the election certification, I actually spoke at the Board of Supervisors in Maricopa County. And based on what I was listening to Stephen Rickard, the person that was supposed to certify the elections, it was very obvious by the way he was talking that there's 280,000 ballots that were in question. So I mentioned that there's 280,000 ballots in question. It is on tape. It's historical evidence at the Board of Supervisors, so it's not going anywhere. And what do we think that they're really investigating in 2022? There's 280,000 ballots that they're investigating in 22. So myself and my team, we've always been ahead of the curve. But it's very important to understand. I want people to feel good about this. So now I'm going to fast forward to January of this year. And I want to read from a truth that President Trump has. And maybe I can share this real quick. Hold on a second. And I'll do advanced share because I can do a portion of the screen. Okay, let's do this. So you can see this is actually President Trump's truth. Now, why is this important? It says Marie Zach testified about the 2020 elections, blah, 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 but go back down here, right? And it talks about the cash that was sent through funneling through Iran, because we know Obama was involved in this. Mm-hmm. But look what he's willing to put out there. And I was told that I was crazy. Okay. In return, Italian officials at Leonardo SPA used military satellites to help hack U.S. voting machines, flipping votes from Trump to Biden using CIA-developed tools like Hammer and Scorecard, along with numerous other methods of fraud and manipulation. Isn't that interesting? And that's a truth from President Trump. So we remember what I said on that video about Italy involvement, and now President Trump retruths this 5 years later.
So when all this comes out, which I believe it will, because it's going in that direction, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think we're going to see changes come from that? Like, for an example, I've heard that in the Constitution, and please tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm not 100% on this, that if election fraud can be proven, that president that had the election stolen from them can then run another term.
Okay, it's a great question. I don't see President Trump running another term. But what I do, and I've done a lot of investigations on this. In fact, I just posted on this today. There's 2 things that we need to really pay attention to, right? And here's what's going to turn around everything for our country, everything. RICO, which is the Racketeering Act, right? RICO is going to be a big deal here. I did a whole film on this several years ago, and sure enough, that's what we're looking at.
What's RICO for the viewers that don't know?
And the RICO is an act that was put in that actually Giuliani became famous for because he could get people in racketeering and collusion. He can actually go after them. He didn't invent the law. He's the first one to use it properly, though, and he got people that were conspiring to do things, and he took them down, which is beautiful. So we're going to see the RICO Act. We're going to see it, I think, come to the top of this cake per se, and that's the frosting on the top. And we're going to see that's what's going to be used to actually take these people down, because if they're conspiring to do anything, you can get them with the RICO Act. And it's for a lot of things. It's moving money, embezzlement, and so on and so forth. So what I also mentioned, and I believe this is the most important, is fraud vitiates everything. There's a Latin term called fraus omnia vitat, and it's pretty much saying that if there's fraud, everything goes away. It's dissolved. So think about this.
Like the synthetic systems that have been created from fraud get dissolved. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think, and this is what gets me excited, and I've even said this on the campaign trail, is everybody is doom and gloom. I go, no. Fraud vitiates, and this is law. These attorneys use this, judges use this. They say fraus omnia vitat, or fraud vitiates everything. It's in law. You'll see it in doctrine from judges and in hearings and judgments. So it's real deal. And why is this so important? Because now we can just do a reset of sorts. Right. And what I mean by that, let's say they determine everything from 2018 forward has been fraudulent in the elections. Now we hold real elections, special elections, and put the right people in charge, the we the people type people in charge. This is epic. It's huge. I believe this is where it's going to go. I think you're going to see some action in Michigan and Wisconsin in regards to this stuff. I believe this is why Colorado is fighting so hard to not release Tina Peters. It's because she holds a lot of evidence in regards to this, and they're going to go down. But I'm not waiting. Excuse me. As normal, I'm not waiting to get things done. We're doing things now. So we have figured out here in California how right now, under the current system, how we can have election transparency. So I've been working very, very hard on that. I have a letter going out to all 58 county clerks and ROVs this week that will put them on notice and will hold their feet to the fire to make sure they do this election transparency action. By the way, I have the top election reformists in the country that are signing off on this and saying it's amazing. So this is huge. And then I'm going to go on a 58 county tour to hold their feet to the fire. We also have a website that's going up in called clearelections.net. I think, I'm not sure about the URL, but we already own it. And it will show anybody that's refusing to do election transparency. It's going to put their name, their email address, their phone number, and where you can go protest on them. And they're going to get a red notice. They get a yellow notice if they say they're doing it and haven't done it, and they're going to get a green notice and even an award when they implement it. We, the people, are taking back our elections. We're taking back everything, and we're done. And I'm so excited because the people are finally stepping up and doing something.
That's absolutely great. Have you heard anything from like the Trump family or the Trump team, any kind of support there or anything like that regarding your run for governor?
Nothing whatsoever. Nothing. And I'm not surprised. I honestly think if, let's say there is a plan, I've been told that I'm kind of a thorn in the side of the administration because we're ahead of the curve often. So that's great. because maybe we're talking about something too early. I don't know. But it's okay. If Trump comes on board and endorses us, great. If he doesn't, great. We're going to be fine either way. We're going to do fantastic. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. And also the Epstein list as well, because so many of these people are somehow connected to the list or to Epstein or these connections. And
Well,
and
they are.
we're almost seeing this unfold as well. So that could work, that could work to our favor.
You're right. And we've been talking about the Epstein for 6 years now, right? Publicly and explaining it, saying exactly what's going on. So just real quick, I'm glad you brought that up because what we have to understand is the remnants of these sickos and the fallout is the rape of children, right? But they are not the reason for this. The reason for this is because you have these big operators that are trying to control the world. And how do they do that? Is they get compromised, they get people compromised that have a lot of influence. So the whole purpose is they try to get these people compromised. They have the tapes, and now these sickos that happen to have these kids as bait, right, are running the world by proxy. Nobody even knows their name because they'll call up. Let's say Pizza Man Obama, for example, and say, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to sign off on. You're going to send $400 million to Iran. And he can't say anything. They go, because they have him compromised. That's the way they work. So by proxy, these sickos have been running the world for a long time doing this. And Epstein, by the way, is small potatoes compared to some of the stuff that we're uncovering. And I hate to say that. He just got caught.
Absolutely. No, it's going to be very exciting. Okay, let's move on to Sirona. It's a glutathione that it has helped a lot of people. It's in a nano size, isn't it? The glutathione, where people spend thousands of dollars getting it injected into their bodies, but this you're saying is different, right?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. So what happens is our mitochondria pretty much runs our health system. It's like the brain of our health system for the body. And when the mitochondria shuts down, it's not making the right decisions. What glutathione does, and this is my layman's terms, what glutathione does is it feeds the mitochondria, makes it as healthy as possible. And then your mitochondria goes to work with your pituitary system and starts working on the challenges that you see. So what's interesting enough, when I first was taking glutathione, like all my hair was very, very white all the way. And the next thing you know, starts getting dark. Well, that's not why I took it. I took it because I had a lung issue, which cleared up, by the way. But for some reason it figured that I was premature in my white hairness, so it fixed that. I've noticed people that have a huge. I have a friend that had something on the bottom of his foot for 30 years. He couldn't get rid of. He just started taking glutathione and it was gone. The ramifications of this are huge, but it's because this product has been nano-sized, so small that when you take it sublingually, you're getting the results a lot better than even if you were to pump it into an IV and spend $1,500 a month for it. It's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to leave the link below in the description for Sirona, and also the link if you'd like to donate to Lewis Herms for running state governor of California. The link will be below in the description. Lewis, is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Sure. Well, we have exciting times coming. I really, anybody watching, I would really like you to go to hermsforcali.com. That's my website. And at least just follow what we're doing, or my social media. I think you're going to be blown away because where California is, the rest of the world goes. And the nice thing is anybody in the world can volunteer or donate legally according to the California election rules. So go to hermsforcali.com and see what we're doing. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Well, Lewis, thank you very much, and we'll speak again very soon. You take care. Bye-bye.
See you, Nick. Bye-bye.